Breaking news, it looks like reports of John Kelly's departure just a little premature. Blake Burman is at the White House with more. Blake.
Palace intrigue is always a thing here, Charles. The Wall Street Journal has broken a story within the last few minutes that the Chief of Staff, John Kelly, has told the president at the president's request that he will stay on as the Chief of Staff through 2020. So that would be through the 2020 election. So that would be at least for the next couple years. I can tell you in making a phone call during the commercial break there, one source is telling me that indeed the Wall Street Journal story is accurate. We will, of course, continue to make phone calls on this one. But this would be serve as pretty big ramifications for this White House. As you mentioned, there had been long speculation, started, I believe, by the Wall Street Journal itself most recently as within maybe a month or so ago, that Kelly's departure would be imminent. Yesterday was his one-year anniversary here at the White House, so the timing appears to at least match up. President Trump sent out a tweet yesterday thanking John Kelly for his 1 year as Chief of Staff here at the White House. As you know, Reince Priebus, the first Chief of Staff, did not last nearly as long, roughly 6 months or so, before he was replaced by Kelly. Kelly was seen as someone who came in here and really instilled a sense of order at this White House. There was somewhat of a revolving door as to who could go into the Oval Office, who had the president's ear, how information was presented, etc. And Kelly was seen as someone who sort of clamped down on that information flow, brought a process about it, and has instilled a sense of discipline around this White House. Now, the Wall Street Journal reporting, and as I mentioned, we have one source verifying that it is accurate, that John Kelly is here to stay through the 2020 elections, which would mean for the next 2 years as the White House Chief of Staff to President Trump. Charles? Blake,
before I let you go, because you understand this better than anyone, I also recently, in addition to the rumors that he was leaving, I kept reading about how he was neutered, how he was cornered, how he couldn't do the job he wanted to do, he was ineffective. More or less, I felt like they were, to use a sort of a Main Street term, being punked by the media to a degree, and almost as if he was being edged out or nudged out, if you will. Does this speak also to the fact that he does play a prominent role there? Do you doubt that he would stay in that position if he didn't feel like he had influence?
Well, it clearly speaks to the fact that the president wants him, right? And I started off this hit by saying palace intrigue is always a thing around here, because I feel like for 18 months, every week or so, there's a palace intrigue story. And here we are yet again. And with John Kelly, there we were earlier this summer at some point last month. So yes, clearly President Trump wants him. There were stories within, you're right, the last few days that maybe his influence had waned a little bit. And as we know, Charles, this is a president who sometimes does his own thing, and it catches people within this White House by surprise. There has been that. I predict there will always be that going into the future with this president and whoever operates around him. But the sense is around here that John Kelly is someone, at least in the very days after Reince Priebus and in the months following that, someone who sort of brought, a sense of here's where this goes, here's where that goes. These are kind of the principles that we work around here.
All right, Blake Burman, great stuff. Thank you, man.
Thanks.